entering into this phenomenal opportunity, I invite us all to breathe. Good morning, beautiful people. I am Vicky Jeter, your practitioner, spiritual director for Louisville Center for Spiritual Living Teaching Chapter. And before I even do opening prayer this morning, I want to make you all aware that today, at the beginning of sharing time, which happens after the benediction to service, I'll be taking the opportunity to tell you all some of my personal vision, mission, and goals as your minister. And then I'm inviting you all to ask any questions you might have and let me know your thoughts about how I can best serve you and how the center can best serve you too. Now, let us practice as we practice and know what we know by opening this service with a prayer. And I open this prayer with the most potent words that we can speak. Thank you. Thank you, Spirit, for the gift of this day that opens us to the adventures and opportunities for good and more good in our lives, individually and together. And as I recognize this, in the one power, the one presence, as the all that is all, necessarily, I am that. Necessarily, each one within the sound of my voice is that power and presence. And as we open this time this morning, I know particularly that I open myself as a vessel of spirit as each person here opens themselves to hear and to be heard according to what serves the highest and best within our each individual lives and our lives collectively. Inviting this morning particularly the understanding of the depth of oneness. And in particular, we are inviting understanding of the universal voice. The voice that is my voice right now, the voice that is the voice of each person here, and the voice that is the voice of everything that supports what is right here and right now. And so with that knowing, and with knowing that it is actually fulfilled even before it's been asked, I am so grateful. I'm grateful for the opportunity and grateful for the opportunity fulfilled in our experiences and the fun that awaits us in that. And so I just release it to allow it to be, and so it is. Amen. And I do welcome each and every one of you with my whole heart to Louisville Center for Spiritual Living Teaching Chapter. Whether you're with us this morning or watching it on Zoom, we thank you for your presence today. And I open my morning prayers actually before service even starts to welcome the day and welcome the week ahead by lighting the God candle so it will be shining brightly to welcome each of you in. And I hope it's the first thing you see when you pop into our Zoom room. Welcome you, we do. No matter what your denomination, no matter where you've come from to find us, no matter how you were brought up, or whether this is even your first faith experience, all are welcome here. And most importantly for you to know is that you are welcome here. Now we have our mission and vision, and I invite you to say this with me. The mission of Louisville Center for Spiritual Living is to teach personal transformation as a virtual community, living the principles of science of mind and celebrating all paths to God. And our vision statement, a world that honors and respects all people. Now, you may remember that last week, we started with a special slide on our Declaration of Principles, what we believe. And this week, we're looking at the second and third of those declarations within the Declaration of Principles. And once again, I invite you to say this out loud to yourself, we believe in the incarnation of the Spirit in all beings, and that every person is an incarnation of the one Spirit. We believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul, forever and ever expanding. And the significance of that has twofold. The first is that at the beginning of each year, Science of Mind goes back to our basics to keep our foundation of what we believe strong and how we're applying it. And also, most especially, this coming Wednesday, Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings will be with us to go into the Declaration of Principles in depth, and we'll tell you more about that when we get to announcements. And now for our opening song, One Love by Playing for Change Band.
People get ready. All you need is faith. So people get ready. We gonna make it as the human race. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. People get ready. There's a train coming. Don't need no baggage. You just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesel humming. Don't need no ticket. You just thank the Lord. Yeah. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Let's get together, fighting this holy Armageddon. When the man comes, there will be no doom. Have pity on those whose chances get thinner. There is no hiding place from the Father of creation. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright.
People get ready. There's a train a-coming, picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key. Open the doors and board them. Don't need no ticket.
You just thank the
Lord. Yeah.
One love, one heart.
Let's get together and feel alright. Everybody sing it.
One love, one heart.
Let's get together and feel alright.
Let's get together and feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright.
I love that song. I love that song. And so now, welcome our practitioner of the week, the magnificent Miss Bev Iyer, who will offer our sacred reading and meditation. Bev?
Thank you, Vicky. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today, to be a part of the spiritual family, and to have the opportunity to share our reading and meditation with you. For our reading, it's going to be a story. And you may have noticed in the past that I really like stories. And this one is very aligned with the concept for our month of the universality of spirit. So I'll begin. After years of searching, there was a seeker who was told to go to a cave in which he would find a well. Ask the well what is truth, and the well will reveal it to you. Well, having found the well, the seeker asked the fundamental question, what is truth? And from the depths of the well, go to the village crossroad, and there you will find what you are seeking. Well, full of hope, the man ran to the crossroad to find only 3 rather uninteresting shops. One shop was selling pieces of metal, another sold wood, and the third sold thin, very thin pieces of metal. Nothing and no one there seemed to have much to do with the revelation of truth. Disappointed, the seeker returned to the well and demanded an explanation. But he was told that you will understand in due time. The man protested, but all he got in return were echoes of his own shouts. He felt that he'd been made a fool of, and indignantly, he started once again on his journey, seeking truth. Years passed, and the man grew older. More slowly he moved, and he began taking more time and seeing things more completely. One night, as he was walking, the sound of sitar music caught his attention. It was beautiful, played with great mastery and inspiration. Profoundly moved, the truth seeker felt drawn to the sitar player. He looked at the musician's fingers moving across the strings, and he began to really see the sitar itself. And then he knew the sitar was made out of wires, pieces of metal, and wood, just like those he had seen in the 3 stores at the crossroad. At last, he understood the message of the well. We already have and have been given everything we need. Our task is to assemble and use it. Nothing is as meaningful as long as we perceive only separated fragments. But as soon as we see the fragments as a whole, a new entity emerges. With that reading in mind, I'd invite you now to find your comfortable place for contemplation. Put yourself in that position, that sense of knowing, and I will share some contemplations for you to think on for a time during us together. Some of you may see pictures, some of you may see words, some of you may put the 2 together, and some of you may feel that feeling of contemplation. So together we begin. We exist in limited opportunities, which are forever seeking expression through us. Through God, you are called to be a hand to others, to step out of your comfort zone and be like a lighthouse, illuminating the earth. Everything you do counts forever. You are an expression of the whole process of creation. You are a co-creator. We seek God so earnestly, not to find the divine, but to discover ourselves. The universe is whole, and you are that wholeness in the process of being you. God can never be less than God, and you can never be less than your divine image. In closing, when you live in alignment with your soul, loving who you are, you will bring your realization back into the oneness with people, the planet, and the universe. You live knowing an eternal peace and will be a loving difference maker on this planet. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Bev. Now, for our special music today, we actually have a special video in support of what we believe. It's a video called What I Believe that was produced by Centers for Spiritual Living International.
I'm often asked what I believe. I want to take the time to express my beliefs so that I can be heard and understood, but it's not always that easy. Because what I believe does not revolve around a story. It can't be defined by a specific historical event. It has never been completely explained by any one person. There is no ultimate authority on the subject, but me. I believe in spiritual living. Above all else, it is a philosophy that urges me to focus on how to think, not what to think. It invites me to practice this philosophy and apply it to my life right now. It is not placed in the history of the world, though it draws from many great teachers of the past. It does not predict my future, though it assures me success by living with principles. My view of God is not that of a person or personality, but my philosophy allows me to accept that this may be true for others. My relationship with God is a personal one, though I know everyone also has this same relationship. I believe that God is all that there is. Every person, place, and thing is not only an expression of God, but God itself. It is also everything that cannot be seen, felt, heard, or otherwise identified in physical form. It is the intelligence that tells the seed to grow, the flower to blossom, the electron to circle the nucleus, and the world to turn as it revolves around the sun. I believe God is the absolute presence that not only creates, but is itself all things. Because I know this, I am able to recognize that presence in and as me. Everything that I am on every level is God. All the love that there could be is in me now. All the peace that could ever be is within me now. All the beauty of the world lives in me as the presence of God right now. I know this of you too. I know that you are just as divine, just as lovely, and just as beautiful, because God is within you as well. Together, we are all connected by this one presence that I choose to call God. This means you are my brother, my sister. This means we are truly one. I also believe in a spiritual law. This means that, much like the law of gravity, there is something I cannot see that affects my life. These spiritual laws are constantly operating regardless of how conscious of them I may or may not be. It also means that I can work with these laws to reach a desired outcome. While many people may tell me what these laws are and how they work, I know that the only way to know them as my own is to practice working with them. Much like an experiment, my faith allows me to apply my philosophy to my life every day and to pay attention to how it works. As I live in love, I see love revealed in and given to me, flowing through the world around me. As I practice peace, I observe the blessing that calm and order can provide to any situation in my life. As I practice approaching the world as a beautiful blessing, it is clear to me that those I encounter feel blessed themselves. This is how I think, not what I think. I believe that being conscious of these facts gives me the blessed opportunity to live my life from principles that exemplify God's greatness in and as my life. My philosophy reminds me to see the world from this place and to act as a citizen of a spiritual community at all times. I know that as I do so, that God is constantly supplying all that is needed to bring me success. This could never really explain everything, I believe, because it is my life and who I am. You may still have many questions about what I believe, and I want nothing more than to share this part of myself with you. It is a blessing to have the chance to share my beliefs with you so I can be understood, and it is my gift to be open to understanding you. I would never tell you what you should believe, but I will always invite you to learn more with me. I will never tell you that you are wrong, but I will always honor your path as your own. I can never give you all the answers, but I will constantly remind you that the answers are already within you. I believe in God, I believe in myself, and I believe in you too, because I believe in spiritual living.
I absolutely love that video. It is one of the clearest explanations of what we believe I think I've ever seen. You can know that that video is available to you if you ever want to share it with someone that's, you're in the process of understanding each other about faith. The one thing that's in there that I just want to make a statement about that could be one of the most confusing things about this teaching, when they get to the law, he says about there are all these laws. Actually, it is one law with infinite applications. And we'll be talking about that more over the year, but I just want to put that out here, right here, because that is the one thing about that video that I would tweak if I could. So the picture this year, or the picture that you have before you, is the image that we used for the World Healing Meditation and for the first of the year. And I just wanted to put that image here because it speaks 1,000 words about how it is that multiplicity can come together in unity and in love. So the theme for the year is living out loud, finding the courage to express who and how we are as magnificent expressions of spirit with no need to minimize or apologize for our gifts. The overall theme for January is root and reboot, which as in sending your roots deep into spirit and then rebooting and resetting and refreshing all of the systems of your life. So to open my talk, I wanted to include the visual, and then we're going to be talking about how universality expresses in limitless forms and how it is that we experience such separation when we're saying all over the place that there's not. And as we begin looking at the universal applications of our teaching and understanding of oneness in divine spirit, the consciousness and unity of all creation, today we're going to begin with understanding the universal voice. And we're going to look at the universal voice from 3 different perspectives. First of all, foundationally, why does understanding oneness matter so much? 2, if there is only one, why do we experience these limitless, endless forms of separation? And how is all this related to the universal voice, and what does it mean to you? So if you've been with us for very long, or if you're familiar with the basics of science of mind at all, you know that there's one divine source of all creation that is universal love and universal law. Last year in January, we talked about universal love and law being like 2 sides of one coin. Neither exists independent of the other. I'm here to encourage you emphatically, there is only one, not just in concept or in spiritual ideal, but at every level of experience, there is only one. As Pat taught us to recognize each week last year, known by many names, but still only one. One universal love, one universal law, one universal power, one universal presence, one universal mind, one universal heart, one universal body that is the logical, natural, and necessary outcome of creation. And that comes from the very first Declaration of Principles. Today, we're exploring the universal voice, and next week, our guest speaker, Reverend Peggy Hostetler, will follow this up with one universal song. And all of these aspects of oneness are omnipresent, meaning they're everywhere all the time, omnipotent, meaning empowered always, and omniscient, meaning divinely intelligent. And I named omniscience last because omniscience is within all creation, and it is a key to understanding the universal voice. So let's take a breath. It was already a lot. First of all, what's the big deal about getting universal oneness? Why does it matter to talk about it, name it, claim it, and practice it with conviction? When we come to knowing deeply that we are one with the power and presence of all creation, the power that created us, that there is no other anywhere to present us with challenges, all of our human trials and tribulations that have their validation in a sense of separation literally vanish. Now, we still live life. We still need to take care of things. Things still come up. But how we experience them is completely different when we recognize that it's not something out there that we're fighting against. It's not that what we see and what we are changes so much. Our position in relationship to it changes. This is why when you're doing treatment or affirmative prayer, staying in the first step of recognition that there is one until you feel it in your mind, heart, and soul is the key to the effectiveness of the treatment. If you have to sit there and meditate for 5 minutes or 20 minutes on oneness, if you can allow yourself to do that until even for an instant you actually feel your oneness and then speak your word, that's the alignment. When you speak your word in prayer from the consciousness of feeling your oneness with divine source, all potential and possibility is opened up and accessed. So if we totally buy deeply that there is only one universal power and presence from which we cannot be separated, why in the name of all that is holy does almost everything about being human feel separated? There are literally countless limitless creations, and all of them appear to be and feel separate from each other, even ones that are alike. This makes no sense in human terms, or at least it doesn't seem to make any sense anyway. Now, some teachings seem to say that because all is one, the separate forms are an illusion. It's not the distinct forms, like my body being separate from your body and your chair being separate from your computer, that is an illusion. That's a true story. And I encourage you to settle yourself in being relaxed about the idea that the fact that we experience separation in that way, that's a true story. That's not an illusion. It's merely the appearance and the experience that it's separated that is an illusion. Separation is an illusion. Now, let's try looking at it this way. Think of a time when you had a gift for someone, but you were not able to give it to them. Think of a time when you felt deep love for someone, but you were not able to tell them, or they were not able to receive it. The glory of God, the glory of Spirit, is the fulfillment of love. Love is all that Spirit is. Love is all that exists, really, is this limitless, infinite love. And the fulfillment of love requires relationship. We cannot have relationship without a sense of relativity, and relativity means distinction. Spirit has to have distinction in order to actually emerge as and experience being as love. So, what we are talking about in application, as an application of spiritual principle, you need not believe because I said it. And actually, that's true of anything that you hear a teacher say, ministers or mentors. Try it on for yourself and see what you experience. We do this by be willing to approach everything in our experience, not from the perspective of how can this thing or this experience, how could this possibly be spirit, which we get so tempted to ask when, it seems to be a challenge. That's not what I am, we say. How can that be spirit? How can I be one with that? That's not what I am. Try instead saying with sincerity, I know this thing or this experience is one with the source with which I am one. Where do I find oneness here? Just be willing to switch your perspective and ask that question instead, regardless of appearances. Right here and right now, if we're talking about trying this in relationship to everything, it's going to feel like a very tall order. This is a one moment at a time kind of change that you can practice every day. And you don't have to change it all right now. It's a continuous aiming. It's a continuous intention. I will tell you that the more you reach for this perspective, the more the truth of it will be revealed effortlessly through you and your personal experience. As you experience the truth of spirit in the inner sanctuary of your own heart and mind, you will develop the knowing that is the conviction of faith. No one can talk you out of that or change it or take it away from you when it's what you've experienced yourself. Now, let's look at some living examples of this principle in action that support what we're talking about. These examples you may have seen or heard at other times or places, but the repetition of this kind of thing to understand spiritual principle in action is very, very helpful. One is that if you consider when light moves through a prism, it casts an entire rainbow. The light of the sun, we see that it's light, but the rays of the sun, unless they're filtered through clouds or something, you don't see the rays of the sun, just like we don't see spirit. We don't see the light of spirit normally. But as soon as the light of sun hits a prism, hits a raindrop, or hits a crystal, the entire rainbow of potentials is projected out. And that process, that's literally what God is doing here, showing up in all these forms. All those colors of the rainbow, they're very distinct and doubtless, and yet they're ethereal. And that's exactly what's happening here. And so then the next example I want to offer you is if you look at it as water, which again, most of you have probably thought about this one, but it's so applicable. So the ocean is limitless and fluid, and the ocean, as it is heated up, steams, and the steam rises, which you cannot see, and becomes formed into clouds, which you can see. And on the other side, if you take water and you cool it, if you cool it enough, it's going to become ice. And if you look anywhere in the oceans where there are icebergs, is what formed that ice any different than the fluid ocean? It's exactly the same thing. It's just in a different state. So the thing to realize is that even that which separates us, the distance, like if you hold out your hands and you've got your two hands and then you've got the space between, that space between isn't any different than the form of your hand. It's just in a different state, like an ice cube. So here, if you hold out your two hands, you've got an ice cube on one side, an ice cube on the other, and between is just the energy, like the ocean, that made the ice cubes. There is no separation. Now, the most important thing to recognize in really taking a look at this is that omniscience, remember I said omniscience, I said last because it's one of the most important things. If we can begin to get it, that the intelligence of consciousness, of spiritual consciousness, the intelligence of God is infused everywhere. It's infused in every form. It's infused in the air we breathe. That intelligence, that's where the universal voice comes in, because the intelligence of God is communicating to us all the time through every form. So if you stop to think to yourself that if every form has intelligence and that intelligence is emergent within that form, then how do I begin to recognize that God is speaking to me through everything? So universally, this voice and expression, it's about fostering a sense of communion. And we talk about not wanting to feel separate from God. If you can begin to realize that you're in communion with the intelligence of God everywhere, and that whole idea of communing, that's where the basis of the word communication comes in. And communication is all about what we call voice. It's not necessarily a voice you have to hear. So consider for a moment that anytime you can say, I got someone's message. When a person realizes that their message has been received, what do we say? That person heard me. And you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be something you said, but if someone gets you by something that you dance or by something that you painted or whatever it might be, whatever your expression is, we say, hey, you got me, you heard me, you saw me. And that is all part of the universal voice. So The thing is that practicing, recognizing that spirit is emergent through everything, and we have the opportunity to develop this feeling of communion, that we're in communication. As we practice that, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and there will be aspects of that that are in common to all of us, and then there will be aspects of it that will be unique to you. And as you learn the unique ways that you're in communion with spirit, as you begin to hear the universal voice through everything, then you really start to find out some of your own unique, looking for that thing which is just yours to do here. It will begin to be revealed as you practice this. Now, you can do this with your car, you can do it with your clothes, you can do it with everything. And of course, it applies particularly to relationships in your life with people. And if that might seem a little harder, you can kind of work up to it. But as you practice, it will get stronger. And one of the things that I wanted to also say here, if you know me very well, you've probably heard me talk about synchronicities quite a bit, because synchronicity is one of my strongest avenues of staying in communion with spirit. And I have one particular example talking about the omniscience of spirit communicating. In 2020, when the pandemic started, the very first week that LCSL went virtual because it was safer was March the 6th of 2020. It was Sunday, March the 6th. And Vernon and I just realized this week, I've known this for a while, but it did not occur to me, and it's actually Vernon that caught it, that the day that I take my oral panels, which is the very last thing that I have to pass in order to be licensed as a minister, is happening on March the 6th. And if you really stop and sit with that for a minute, it's like, what are the chances of that? And that's when I know that it is the divine confirming to me divine right order. So moving forward, I want to bring this into a real life experience to share with you all that is a whole lot of fun. We're going to show a little video, and I want you to know going in that everyone in this video is safe, and you're going to be seeing a little family of black bears. And just imagine putting yourself in this mama black bear's shoes. And go ahead with the video, Vernon. So, how many of you could relate to Mama? How many of you could possibly relate to the babies? Notice how each one of those 4 little babies had a different take on exactly how they wanted to respond to this little situation they were in. And I love the little one that had decided he better go up and run up a tree. Notice that he did not run up the tree until he was by himself. When he had his other little siblings with him, they just all kind of hung out. Some of them had the courage to try to follow her right away, and then some of them did not. And I can tell you that video actually does have some audio with it, and there's different ones, and everyone in the audio is saying the same thing. And so there you go. It's the universal voice that we can find in communion with everything around us. And so in closing for this week, I just invite you to take whatever you've heard and seen here and apply it with an open heart to the very best of your ability. And when you run into the mystery, when something comes up and you say, okay, so this worked for me up to this point, but this isn't working for me so good now, stay open, bring your questions, because those are the kind of questions. We do have questions, and it is a mystery, and none of us have this all figured out. But this is part of what we do this in community for. So that's what I have to say about that. And I invite us now to just take this into treatment. The joy of it, the laughter of it, the playfulness, the recognizing how much we have in common with nature. Truly, 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 we are one. And the glory of nature is the fulfillment of love. Recognizing this truth, I realize in this moment that all of this has been received by each person in the place where they are, that Spirit meets them where they have shown up, and that Spirit maximizes that to the highest and best possible good, moving forward through each moment of each day into our shared experience for ourselves as LCSL and for the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you, God, for the universal voice. I just release it, I let it be, and so it is.
And so it is. Which brings us to our opportunity for financial support to our spiritual community. We have a saying for each month that aligns with that opportunity. And for today, it is. I will say it, and then I will offer you the opportunity to join me for that. For 2023, I am
grateful for what is.
And I am open to the abundance of Spirit. Together, for 2023, I am grateful for what is, and I am open to the abundant blessings of Spirit.
Thank you, Bev. I just received this opportunity for your ties, talents, and treasures to come in to Louisville Center for Spiritual Living with blessing. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that which comes to us and that which we then have the opportunity to offer to the world around us, to our community, to the region, and knowing that everything that we give, whether it appear to be large or small in human terms, is multiplied in spirit. And so I release it knowing it is done, knowing that we're all prospered, and I let it be, and so it is.
And so it is. which takes us to announcements for this week. First of all, we have a special guest coming to our first Wednesday spiritual connection, which won't be held on the first Wednesday this coming January, but will be held on January the 11th, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. And we will be welcoming Dr. Jesse Jennings for an hour-long discussion of what we believe. I've had the opportunity recently, and so has Maruk, and so has Pat, I've taken 2 classes with Reverend Jennings, and I know that every time he is at a place where I can connect and listen and learn and continue to learn from his knowledge and love, I want to be there. And I can give a really strong recommendation that you don't miss this opportunity either. On January 15, we have a guest speaker, Dr. Peggy, and I may need help and support with her name, Hostetler, and she will be speaking on the topic of our universal song. Join us, please. Welcoming you now for that opportunity. Don't forget sharing today, and I believe that Vicky's going to begin that sharing by asking us some questions to give her ongoing input. Vicky, do you want to add to that at all?
No, we're good. You're doing
Okay.
great, Bev.
Thank you. So we are here together to know that you are magnificent. You are indeed
You are
magnificent.
magnificent.
Let's say it together and really mean it.
You
are
are
magnificent. Happy New Year.
And now we will have our closing song, The Power of Move in the Direction of Your Dreams by Michael Gott.
Don't you think you owe it to yourself to look inside of you and take the time to realize what you are here to do? Don't you think the time has finally come to stand and face the fire, to walk into the blazing sun and claim your heart's desire? You were placed upon this earth with a mission to complete, and now the time has come, so stand up strong and claim your destiny. You must move in the direction of your dreams and act as if they've already come true. Even when there is no hope, or so it seems, move in the direction of your dreams. Do you think that you're not good enough to be a shining star? Or do you think because the road looks tough you won't get that far? Do you believe that only some are great and others left for chance? Or maybe that it's just too late, a futile circumstance. You were placed upon the earth with a mission to complete, and now the time has come, so stand up strong and claim your destiny. You must move in the direction of your dreams like it's crashing, crashing all around you, and the clouds of doubt are darkening your day. Well, then just be still and know that there's something deep within you that will always, always know the way. You must move in the direction of your dreams and act as if they've already come true. For even when there is no hope, or so it seems, move in the direction of your dreams. Move in the direction of your dreams.
Now for our benediction. I do invite you all to say this, to hear yourself saying it. Holy Spirit, Mother, Father God, in this new year, I pray to live deeply with purpose, to live freely with detachment, to live wisely with humility, to live justly with compassion, to live lovingly with fidelity, to live mindfully with awareness, to live gratefully with generosity, to live fully with enthusiasm. Help me to hold this vision and to daily renew it in my heart, becoming ever more one with you, my truest self. Amen.